One in particular I'm thinking about, I'm like, I don't know if I could trust you, but in this moment I'm going to have to trust you and align with you. So he gave me like a yellow wristband. If you had a wristband, that means that you were going to be either on camera, have a camera following you, or you were going to have your mic pack on. They'll hear everything that you're doing.
For that, you pick the top tier people and you're like, you get a microphone.
Yes, 40 contestants are mic'd up out of the 2,000.
In this edit, I wish they would have showed everybody like kind of maybe not getting the jerseys because it was chaos. But if we have a choice not to go against each other, don't you want to do that? She was not with it.
You are watching Shayna-Renee.
What's up, you guys? My name is Shayna-Renee. Welcome or welcome back to my channel where we have a great time over here. I know you saw the title, and yes, it is true. I am a part of history and I'm excited, and I'm going to tell you everything you want to know. It's a lot that happened in the show and behind the scenes. Going to the show, it was a great experience. Of course, they paid for everything. So I'm like, boom, free everything. Let's get it. Let's go. I'm ready for this show. So, okay, this was my thought process. I thought about the whole competition show absolutely wrong. Like, being that I was basically saying the contract that I read was similar to a contract that I've had before, and I thought they were going to be able to watch us at any time, at any moment. I was thinking that it was going to be something that it wasn't, and I was in over my head. I was doing too much already. In the contract, basically, they were saying, like, you know, they have the rights to have recordings of you, whatever, it doesn't matter. When I read that, I was thinking it was going to be more of the Joe Schmo show or like the Truman Show, where you think you're actually on a show for one thing, but you're really on a show for another thing. So I was thinking it was like that amongst some other things because I didn't trust it fully. I was thinking about when I saw Mr. Beast do his interview and about the show, and he was like, you know, it's about character building, you know, see how they do this, that, and the third. They're gonna see how people act towards people, how they're gonna break down people, are they gonna, you know, backstab people, all of that. So I'm like, they're gonna be listening, watching, looking at everything. And, you know, I watch like Big Brother, Survivor, and all that stuff. And, you know, my sister and friend was in cahoots. So we was like, all right, I'm going to try to remember stuff. Remember, this is green, this is purple, this is red. So me entering the games, literally, that's how it was. And I'm like, it was none of that.
Open the gates! Are these 2,000 contestants? What you are witnessing is just the start of something never before seen in history.
It was none of that. So I had to like just redirect my path of like what I was doing. But anyway, so that was like my thought process going in. Also, I mentioned to you, I had a friend who got into the show. So her and I was just like, yo, we're going to be cool, but we don't want people to know that we know each other and we're locked in like that. Because if people see us locked in like that, we thought like people were going to try to either target us against each other or, you know, whatever. We didn't want people to know like how close we were, like we knew each other outside. When I got there, a lot of people did not care. People was just like, oh yeah, I know this person, I know this person, I know this person. But we still was like, we don't know each other. When we saw each other in the airport, when we got there, we were just saw each other, we were texting each other, but we were not passing each other or whatever the case is. And like we were talking in different groups. And then there was like one point in time, I think I was talking in a group, and then she came over to my group and she introduced herself to all of us or whatever the case is. So it kind of looked like, oh, we just met. So boom, that happened with her. And then there was another time she met these two girls, and then she found me in the bathroom and she was telling me. So she told me to go walk past her and she's going to stop me and say, oh, this is the girl I met in the bathroom. This is Shayna-Renee. And that's how we played it up to different people. Like, oh my God, I just met her. One thing I didn't do was like lie to people for real, about us meeting each other. They'd be like, oh, y'all from New York? Did y'all know each other? I'm like, well, I seen her on a plane, but I was trying to ignore, you know, people that looked like they was from the games because I ain't know them yet. So I was just trying to say things like that. And if I didn't mention it, we all had to wear the same thing going on the plane. I didn't. I changed in the Uber because I wanted to see who was a part of the games and scope the competition out before they really knew who I was. So then she was just like, oh, you know, this is the girl that I met, this is the girl that I met. She was in the bathroom, da-da-da. We ended up bonding, and then we were like, oh, nah, we're the locked in. So for the duration that we were in the games, when we did YouTube and when we went to Canada, I told no one. She told no one. No one knew how close we actually were until we left the games. I feel like that was like one of the best strategies, because I'm like, if something happens like where we have to sacrifice each other, we know like, all right, if I do it, I'm gonna do it in the right way. Or like, if like for instance, like we thought like, you know, the suitcase thing where it was like you got to tell the person like, oh, it says safe or not safe or whatever the case is. We were like, we were always going to tell each other the truth, and then from there, if you got out, you got out. Or if we know that I would rather you go on for this type of thing or vice versa, then we can sacrifice ourselves or whatever, and then, you know, maybe split the money, whatever. So that was kind of like, you know, my game plan of going on to it. And honestly, I didn't know how I was going to act when I got in there, because it's weird. Like I'm a person that can talk and just be, you know, be able to talk to people and laugh with people, joke people, but I'm also very like quiet sometimes. And for me personally, I just never know what I'm gonna be when I get around people. And it, like, you know, it depends on the environment and what's happening at the time. So I'm just like, oof. I know I can be really good at the games, but I really have to tap into, like, you have to remember you're in game show mode and your brain has to be on. You have to be on what you're thinking, what you're doing. All in all, I was fine in the games and I was very proud of how I was doing everything. Let's get into some other things about when I got to the hotel. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of random details, so if you have any questions, definitely put it down in the comments below and I will answer them. When we got there, it felt like it was organized chaos in a way. Like all the lines and stuff like that. It was like 2,000 people. When I got there, I'm like, I thought it was supposed to be 1,000 people. Little did I know it was 2,000 people. Little did I know I was supposed to be going to do a YouTube version first before I got on the show. I'm like, I don't remember seeing this in the contract like that. I'm like, and I be reading my contract pretty thoroughly. So that was kind of like the first like shocker, like, oh snap, okay, whatever, cool. And then I don't think it was Mr. Beast's team, but I think it was like the wranglers or handlers that were there. They were just like, no talking, no one can talk. And we're just like, oh, they serious about this gameplay. So in my head, I'm like, okay, they probably don't want nobody to talk and mingle because they don't want people to start forming alliances and this, that, and the third. That was my thought. But I think it was just people just doing too much. Because like every so often they kept saying that, and they were like, oh, if we catch you gambling, if we catch you outside your rooms, doing this, that, and the third, going to each other's rooms, you can't do the game show no more. And I'm just like, I was like, I don't want to do nothing to get in trouble. So I was kind of quiet for the most part. I spoke a little bit, but I was like, I'm not ruining my chances off for something so stupid. So, and there was a good amount of people like that same day we got there, and even the next day, before we even got in the arena, they were eliminated because they were caught gambling. They were caught going into other people's room. I guess because they wanted to make sure nobody was cheating, no lawsuits was happening or whatever the case is. So they had a lot of people on standby that came in like hours before. The day of the show, they gave us our jerseys and all that stuff. And they told us, you know, we had to come downstairs in a trash bag or whatever. So nobody would know what was going on and nobody could film us. So in my head, I'm just like, this is gameplay. They're trying to psych us out. They're trying to, you know, get us hot and yada yada. You know, psychological. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm like, it's a psychological thing. This is where the character building starts. Girl, no. It was not that deep. It literally, sorry. Look at you back already. Yeah, so basically, dang, that text message caught me off guard. What was I saying? So yeah, the trash bag literally was just, I think somebody's doing that was really dumb. I'm like, if y'all didn't want nobody to see what we had when we got to the arena, y'all should have handed out jerseys there. I guess it was easy to hand it out right then and there, but I felt like it just made people really want to, you know, film everybody. But then again, I'm like, maybe that's what they wanted. They wanted the hype of like, yo, what are they doing? What is Mr. Beast doing? Da, 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 to get in the tabloids. So I think that was planned too, to be honest. Stuff we could bring, like 5 pairs of underwears, socks, 5 pairs of socks, and like a sports bra. It was like, you know, they were gonna wash our stuff in between and, you know, hand it out. And then we had like a medicine bag where, you know, people who had medical needs or certain things, they can, you know, have it on the field, because we were going to be tucked away for however many days. So me being smart, I had like my face wash, I had my turmeric soap, I had like little child size skincares and all of that. I done tucked them in there. I tucked them in with my pads and stuff like that. Well, I didn't really need pads because, well, sanitary napkins, I didn't really need that because they had them there for us. But I was like, you know, it's a special type or whatever, because I didn't know what type they was going to give. So I was like, I'm going to bring my own just in case. And like, you know, they wrote down like exactly what you had in the bags, and luckily I was able to get away with it. I didn't smell. A lot of people were smelling, which I'm not judging, because, you know, we was there for a while, and we actually did not get to take a shower or have our clothes washed like they said they would. So that was a little bit like, it was definitely a little unorganized. This is Vegas. Everything took forever. Honestly, it's one, because we have 2,000 contestants. Besides that, everything just took forever. And I'm just like, yo, are they trying to psych us out? Are they trying to psych us out? So we get to the arena. When we get to the arena, they are just like, you can't come in with nothing. If we see you coming with anything in here, you're out of the games. I don't care what, you're out of the game. Like some type of drill sergeant. And we're like, okay. And I was upset because I forgot to take off like one of my chains. Luckily it wasn't like a real chain, but it was like a non-tarnished chain, and I threw it away because I'm like, I didn't want it to, it was something that could have slipped out my pocket, and I'm like, if it slips out my pocket and they're like, oh, whose is this, and I miss out on 5 million because of a chain, no, I'm gonna just go buy it back. So I threw that out. I was kind of sad because I'm like, dang, I could have definitely still kept it, because some people still kept their stuff on, but they were telling us they didn't want nobody to have this, nobody to have that. It was just a bunch of different things being said that was just like, it could have been, you know, handled better. So I just didn't want to get in trouble and have to leave the game off of something stupid. So I was like, it ain't worth it. We go inside of the arena and we're getting, like, I guess settled in, have to take our pictures with our different type of jerseys. That took hours. And so we're sitting there now. In my head, I'm like, all right, this is the time where we have to mingle and try to talk to people to see, you know, who's going to be in our group, who we could align with, who, whatever, besides like the full core girls that I had. In my head, I'm like, all right, this is where you can't be shy. Like, you got to walk around, talk to people, do things, whatever the case is. So I'm walking around, you know, talking to people, trying to, you know, find my way into seeing who I could feel out, who I like, who I don't like, or whatever. I found myself being in one of my happy-go-lucky spirits, and I just went up to them, some random group that was sitting in the circle. I was like, yo, y'all want to play a game? And what game did I ask if they wanted to play? It was a few games, but I think one of the games was Zip Zap Zog. I don't know if you ever played that. So we was playing a game called Zip Zap Zog. If you don't know how to play that, it's a game where you basically have to say Zip Zap Zog, or people say Zip Zap Zag, whatever. You just have to say it in the same order every time, and you have to point to the person that you want to say it to. So it'll be like Zip, somebody can say it to her and say Zap, and then she can say it to somebody else and be like Zog. So as long as you say it in the order, you're not out. And you can pass it back and forth to somebody like Zip, Zap, Zog, Zip, Zap, Zog, Zip, Zap. You couldn't be like Zap, Zog, Zip, then you're out.
Zip, Zap, Zog, Zip, Zap, Zog, Zip.
Basically that. I was head honcho in the game, and a lot of people didn't know how to play, so I was being my regular self, but my regular self sometimes is very dramatic. So I was acting like a camp counselor and was just like, so this is how you play the game, like something like that. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was being very animated, very not afraid to be myself or speak. So we did one round, and then after that I was pulled to the side by one of the producers, and he was just like, yo, what's your name? I was like, Shayna-Renee, like, what's up? And we ended up becoming like pretty cool, having good conversations throughout the whole time I was there. But in that instance, he was just like, okay, take this. So he gave me like a yellow wristband, and he was like, go over there, or he told me to go get a yellow wristband, one of the two. So basically, if you had a wristband, that means that you were going to be either on camera, have a camera following you, or you were going to have your mic pack on. Like you were going to get a pack so that way they'll hear everything that you're doing day and night when you have that pack on. I didn't get the camera one. My yellow wristband was for me to have, you know, the voice pack on. When I was just like, oh, how did y'all pick me? I was excited because at first I was just like, what's this for? I was a little skeptical, but I'm like, this is dope, but it's also scary because it's just like, if I say something about you, oh well, it is what it is. And if you hear it on the cameras, we can talk about it. Because whatever I say, I'm going to back it up. Because I'm never going to talk crap about somebody for no reason. I'm going to do it for a reason. If you give me a reason, it's going to be said. And whatever I said, I said. And that's literally how it was. So I was excited because I'm like, yo, I'm going to be featured. I'm going to have camera time. Because they want, you know, when the show aired, I saw like a BTS of like they had people's pictures on the board, and they pre-picked people already to have mic packs and be on video, have GoPros or whatever. Originally, I guess from like their tape, their energy or whatever. So I wasn't in that group. I ended up being in the group when they seen people in person in action. They was like, ooh, her, she's gonna be somebody that's, you know, we're gonna get good commentary from. So
Story producers are responsible for threading together the narrative of everything that happens during an episode.
We're like the CIA. We're listening in on every conversation.
If they're just talking about the weather, well, then we'll move on. But if they're starting to talk about their story or what their strategy is, we can dive in there and make it part of the story.
And then we've mapped out like where they are on our quadrant. So green is like something unique about them.
Reds are our alphas, yellows are some family connections, and basically each time anything happens, we can tag things. Whether maybe somebody accepts a bribe or there's a big emotional moment. So all those things get tagged over here, and then post-production is able to find that content to edit it together.
You ask people to send a 1-minute video of themselves, and you use that to judge their character and their energy. And so you're saying as part of that, you pick the top tier people, and you're like, you get a microphone.
Yes. 40 contestants are mic'd up out of the 2,000. This board was the initial idea of who would get mic'd up. I think as they meet the people and as people like show their true selves on the field, they'll switch it out.
This is absolutely crazy. This is movie investigation pinboard type vibe.
Once people get eliminated, they'll re-mic other people.
You've got heroes, villains, family, and then others. You've not just pegged people as being main characters, but you've pegged that they've got a personality trait that might make them a villain.
Yes.
So yeah, you can't predict the stories that will form, but you can predict the people who are most likely to form them. Those people are given the microphone. So that's fascinating.
So I really wish I knew what they had me under, because they had certain people labeled as in the hero, the villain, the something. I can't remember, but I'm just like, dang, I wish I would have known. I don't think I would have been put down as the villain. It would have been the hero or something else. It was just like, oh, this is my time to shine. Not time to be fake or whatever, or just act out of my character, but my time to shine as in like, I'm finally about to get some burn from this game show. Like, let's get it. When we had to do the audition videos and all of that, and like the paperwork we had to sign, they kept asking us like different things of like, what type of person are you? Are you the villain? Are you this? Are you, like a bunch of different questions, I guess, to get like our personality. So that way when, you know, everything develops and unfolds, follow us and say like, oh, they said they were like this and now they're like this, whatever. Honestly, I feel like I do love the show, but I feel like the show could have been way better than it was. Unless they're holding off some like footage for something else later down the line, or like a unreleased BTS at the end. I felt like the show could have been better because I seen the private screening. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I seen a private screening and the show was great, and it definitely reflected Mr. Beast. It reflected how he does his YouTube videos mixed with a competition show. So it was a good mix of that, but I feel like they left out so much that I personally like to see in a competition show, like hearing people conspiring, people talking, people like saying what's on their mind, like, oh, I don't like her, she did this, she did that. Like, I really wish they would have added those elements, not just because I had, you know, the mic on me at all times and I was doing my thing, but I feel like it would have added more to what they were doing and had people more invested, like, oh snap, so she got beef with her and she don't even know, and she gonna act like that they're an alliance just to see how far they got. Because honestly, that's what you had to do with certain cases. I know for me, there was one girl I was like, ooh, not one, there was a few people, but one in particular I'm thinking about. I'm like, I don't know if I could trust you. The way you and your friend is moving, I can't trust you. But in this moment, I'm going to have to trust you and align with you, and just know that we're not locked in. Because you're low-key a little weird. And, you know, it was like one of the girls that was kind of like staring me up and down. And even when we got outside of the games, she still was kind of giving me that vibe a little bit. So, I don't know. I just really wish they would have added more of that type of element to really get into like what people were saying and doing. Because I know for me, there was times where I was like saying like, yeah, I don't trust her anymore. I don't trust even like somebody that was in my like core group. I was kind of giving them the side eye like, why would you say that? Or why would you do that? Or whatever the case is. Like, you know, I was listening more than I spoke. I spoke when I needed to, but I was listening more than I spoke. And I feel like I made myself in a middle ground area when we was in Vegas, where it's like you can't put her as a leader or as a follower. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I was just like in that in between where it's like, okay, she's strong, she's smart, but she's not intimidating, but she's not intimidating. That's how I felt. So the food was absolutely not it in Vegas. It got better in Canada, but in Vegas, the food was basura. We had a small thing of oatmeal that was cold. We had a boiled egg, and we had like some vegetables or whatever the case is, and that was breakfast. Now, in my normal life, that's something that I would eat for breakfast, but I would eat a bigger portion and I would have some flavor to it. I'm not eating this stuff cold at home. So I just thought like, I was like, all right, well, this is the challenge too. They're going to give us nasty food and yada yada. And like they had people that was just like, oh, if you want a banana, you got to trade your whole tray, which is everything that I said already. You have to trade your whole tray in just for that one banana. And I'm just like, that's weird. I ain't like that. I was like, y'all doing too much right now. So they said that wasn't a part of it. I guess that was just the people who was hired to do whatever. That's how they were moving. And, you know, some of them was laughing, thinking that it was funny, it was cute. And I'm like, it's not funny and it's not cute. Mind you, this is before we even did the game. So I was just like, ew. But anyway, oh, let me just say this. They fed us properly. The food was not that great, but they did feed us properly. So whoever like was lying and saying all these allegations like, oh, we didn't eat as much. No, we had 3 meals a day. Yes, there was like hours in between. But I forgot to mention, they fed us snacks and so much Feastables. It was ridiculous. Definitely had snacks on deck, and sometimes they gave us electrolytes. We didn't eat at normal hours. Like say if we did a competition like 5 in the morning, we might have lunch at 7 or 8 in the morning, and then have hours between, do something else, have dinner, and then go to sleep. So I thought that they were kind of, you know, trying to get us all psyched out, like, you know, throwing the time off or whatever. It wasn't about being psyched out. That was me being extra. It was more so of because things took hours to fix, film, or do something else. We had a way too much water. We had so much water. So anybody was like, oh, we dehydrated. I don't know how you were, because we had a boatload of water coming in. Now there are some people who, you know, said stuff about their medicine, I can't speak on that because it didn't happen to me. I didn't have any meds or whatever the case is. Anytime I did, I was only turned away once from getting meds, which is like aspirin or something like that, and I don't take pills at all like that. But I'm like, nah, if I'm in the games, I need to be, you know, ready, available, and strong. So I was like, I definitely need to go get an aspirin, an Advil, Motrin, whatever they had. And, you know, I was turned away, like, and I'm like, bro, I got a full headache. And it was like, well, it's the office is closed or whatever. It wasn't from the people that I would normally talk to in Black. It was from, like, some other people. So I should have just talked to somebody else. But anyway, food was definitely disgusting. It was definitely disgusting, and they need to come with it better, please. They didn't, like I said, in Canada, but in Vegas, if season 2, that first round of food needs to be better. Anyway, hey you guys, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to end it here because this video is too long already. In the next and third final part, I'm going to be reviewing the YouTube version, and I'm going to be telling more BTS that happened in the games and things that you do not know. So stay locked, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.